The ball joint basically is traveling kind of like this. The truck isn't staying on its track quite as well, and it's driving to the right. Once everything is loose, you can come back and make these adjustments pretty easily. This is what I did. My truck drives impeccable now. You're supposed to take your truck to an alignment shop, and they will take care of it for you, and they will correct it if it's wrong. But in my area where I live, you take it to the alignment shop, they set the truck to the numbers that the computer tells them to set it to, and they don't use any discretion or knowledge about camber and caster to make the needed adjustments for you that you need if the truck is overcompensating for road crown or something like that. All they do is the numbers, they turn it like the computer says, and that's it. It indicates a lack of technical knowledge on the part of the technicians, so I'm here to help, guys. Now you can do your camber and caster a little bit, not perfect, but you can get it closer to what it needs to be using this video. I swapped the tires from the left to right side. They didn't really make a significant difference, but the technician who did the alignment said he thought it would, so then I swapped the tires to the rear of the truck to see if that would help. That did not solve the problem for me, so I had to move forward to the next stage, which was checking my air pressure. Another very important piece of knowledge for you is that this is the only adjustment for the front wheels for toe-in. So you can see that since there's only one adjustment for the whole steering rack, that means that all you're doing is adjusting overall toe-in. This is not the same as a rack and pinion style where you can independently adjust the left and right sides for toe-in. You cannot do that on these trucks, and that is why the left steer and the right steer is determined by your camber and caster. Right here I'm just measuring basically the gap when the level is perfect between that and the tire, and then you can see that that's going to tell me basically a number. It doesn't have to be a number that's relevant to the alignment. It just has to tell me information that I need to know about how the tires compare to each other. When I put this level in the center of the tire, it's measuring off the bulge at the bottom of the tire where the weight of the vehicle's riding. It throws off the measurement. So I went front of the tire and back of the tire. And what I have is that on the left side, the tire is completely vertical. It's got zero, I believe it's camber. It's not tilted in or out this way, away from the vehicle, right? But the one on the right is a 1/4 inch. On my truck, the no camber is going to be on the driver's side. That's where they put it. On the passenger side, they've got negative camber. So you can see this wheel is driving the vehicle that direction, right? The other one is not resisting it. And so that is why the truck is driving towards the center of the road to the left all the time. Every time you adjust the camber on this truck, you adjust the caster as well, because they're both adjusted using this bushing. And the bushing is replaceable, and that's how they get the angles they need, because the angle in the bushing determines how much camber and caster you have. And then the technicians read the degrees on it, and that's how it tells them what exact location to put it at. I have loosened up this top nut. It was pretty easy. I had to get out this cotter pin, which was brand new, of course, and then I had to loosen that castle nut. You don't have to loosen the bottom nut. They probably do, but those were untouched. I wanted to get this thing to come free, right, but it won't. So I used my handy buddy, the air hammer, and I just blapped it right there, like that, and it came down free. And then all I did is just drive in. Actually, what I did is try to spin my castle there with this device, which actually worked. Forgive me, I can't exactly show you. Look down here. Now you've seen what it does. Now I'll show you this paper again. This side had no camber, okay? The camber is definitely affecting the driving of the vehicle. I want Matching negative camber. We want to move in the positive caster direction, but we want to go in the negative camber direction. There's 4 zones on these bushings. We're doing diagonal towards the passenger side of the vehicle inside, right? So that right there, and that's moving the joint, by the way. So we're moving the joint that direction. We're getting more positive caster, okay? And then we're moving the joint inwards, so that's our negative camber position, okay? So now we'll go to the diagonal, and now we're diagonal out towards the outside of the vehicle back, which is going to be our positive camber, positive caster. So we'll just continue on here. So we're diagonal to the outside front of the vehicle. So now the ball joint is out as far as it can be, well, with still the diagonal angle. So it's going to be positive camber. It's going to be negative caster, okay? And we're diagonal now towards the center front of the vehicle. So we've just slanted the wheel. So this is where we want our wheel to be on camber, okay? We want that slant, but we need to have positive caster, and right now we're negative caster with the desired camber. So this is what we want, and this is what we want, right here and here. I could swap this bushing out, and basically, since, as you can see, it's a combination of the two, you need to have the correct bushing. As this knuckle is sweeping, I can visually see the ball joint basically is traveling kind of like this as I turn this joint, okay? So all I'm doing is just saying like, oh, that's clocked about where I want it to be. So I'm gonna go for the straight, which is a 45 off of my my caster setting and my camber setting, okay? I'm gonna go a 45 off of that, and I'm just gonna see what this thing is like. So now we're gonna drive this bad boy down. The ball joint is spinning inside this castle nut, but not to fear. So what we need is for this hub right here to be very tight against this knuckle, because when that's tight, then the ball joint is seated tightly inside, and it's not able to spin due to friction. Okay. I just came back from a test drive on this thing, and actually what I discovered as I was driving is the truck isn't staying on its track quite as well, and it's driving to the right. The other technician was closer, but he was driving to the left all the time. I'm driving to the right all the time. All right, I just got this thing off here in like less than 30 seconds. Once everything is loose, you can come back and make these adjustments pretty easily. One adjustment towards me. Right here I'm just basically putting this tire on. I'm checking it with the tire on because I've got the bushing loose enough to where I can lift it and lower it. I don't have to attach the nut onto this to push the bushing onto the ball joint. So basically, as long as the ball joint is seated inside that bushing, you're basically at the angle that's desired as long as your ball joints are good. So it's just checking and going back and forth and seeing, hey, what measurement are you looking for? What measurement are you trying to accomplish? And you either set it on the positive caster or the negative caster side, and then your camber is just whatever your measurement comes to. So there's the only thing you can't measure here is your caster. Because technically, because you're measuring the camber, you might not be using a high-tech tool, but you're measuring it, so it lets you know how it compares to the opposite side. The caster is more of a guessing game, but I believe that's going to make less of an impact on you than the camber at the end of the day. So when I drove the truck, I thought it drove incredible. What you're doing is the steering wheel is looking up. the steering wheel thinks the road is up there, right? That's the caster that makes the truck stay centered in the road. So there's a little forgiveness there because that position up there makes the truck want to drive down the road. If you're leaning forward, right, where the wheel thinks that the road is down here, that's going to make you drive all over the place. You're just going to clock this bushing a tiny bit. I went back to where the technician had the bushing and I clocked it off one turn because it's got little flats on it where it has to be, so it goes to the next flat. And turn it and then set that thing down and test drove it. And really, if you can turn it and set it and test drive it 3 times, you could do that in like 20 minutes and you're still saving yourself a trip and a scheduled alignment shop trip. I hope this helps you guys. This is what I did. My truck drives impeccable now and I am so super happy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day.